It is Thursday, and that means it's a new segment for In Case You Missed It, the weekly recap on this channel. And there's been a lot of movement in the Eastern and Western Conference standings this week, so we're going to be recapping that and so much more. So let's get right into it. What did I say? Jordan Poole off the bench is going to look a lot better than as a starter because that is a perfect role for him. He proved me right this week as he averaged 27 points, 4.5 assists, and 3 rebounds. Good job. I really wish the starting five of Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, and Jalen Duren looked so much better than it has because that starting five doesn't sound all that bad for your future, but then you watch them play, and it is awful. Very unfortunate. Post-All-Star break, Wemby might be in the MVP conversation because he has had takeover. He got the Spurs winning, and he has been dropping ridiculous stat lines nightly. I hope nobody tries to say anyone else is Rookie of the Year outside of him, especially Chet supporters, because, well, he beat Chet and the Thunder this week as the one option on his team. So that should be enough said. I don't really have anything to say about the Hornets. They're awful. The Grizzlies' wings need to cook because this season is huge for the Grizzlies. If they develop and become elite, the young wings, this team will be undeniable fully healthy next year. If any of those players can complement Ja, Bane, Smart, Jaren Jackson Jr., whoever they want to put at center, this team's going to be scary. Anthony Simons finally locked back in this week after a rough stretch. That was nice to see, especially considering the fact that the Blazers are awful and need some type of hope for the future. Also, I remember that in the beginning of the year, a lot of people were excited for the Blazers to finally have a young big as they had DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams. Yet Duop Reith has been the best center on the team, so shout out to him as he even dropped 26 points on the Timberwolves this week. In case you missed it, Scottie Barnes tragically got hurt this week, so it allowed the young players to cook on this team, but they got cooked in just about every game. So yeah, not ideal for the Raptors. I feel like we haven't talked about Cam Johnson at all this year, so let's talk about him. Against the Hawks, he had 29 points while hitting 7 threes. Then he let Mikal cook in the second game against the Hawks as Mikal went off for 38. So naturally, after I criticized the Nets as much as I did last week, they win 3 out of the 4 games that they played this week. Can't make that up. The Jazz really had a stretch for a few weeks, and I thought they were going to make the playoffs for a minute there. Talk about a midseason delusion. Anyways, the Wizards game was electric, which is something I didn't think I'd be saying this season. Clarkson had 38, 10, and 7 off the bench, but my highlight of the game was this play right here.
Ball stripped away, Abdita dropped it, put it up.
In case you missed it, Alperen Sengun had a masterclass performance on Wemby Tuesday night as he had a career-high 45 points, 16 rebounds, and 5 steals. And he followed that up with 23, 19, and 14 on the Clippers in a losing effort. I'm going to just say right now, he is going to surpass Sabonis before next season, in my personal opinion, because he is a way smarter basketball player and has an IQ that is astronomically better than Sabonis, in my opinion. So I understand the Sabonis comparisons, but I feel like it disrespects the true ability of Sengun. Bulls got into 2 altercations this week, one against the Bucks, one against the Jazz. I'm only going to play the one against the Jazz, but it's hilarious.
Going to go to the line for 2.
I see Torrey Craig has something to say.
Torrey Craig. Chris Fleming.
Hey, listen, we don't need no technical fouls here, Bulls. Get back. Yep. Everybody get back. It's a 1-point game.
But anyways, just look at the box score against the Kings as they overcame a 20-plus point deficit. Kobe White had 37, 5, and 7 on 14 of 19 shooting, and Ayo Dosunmu was looking like he's playing at Illinois again in that game. It is so nice to see because, let's be honest, the NBA is better when the Bulls are good, but they haven't been good for a long time now, so we need to see some promise for the future, and that's exactly what we've been seeing this season in flashes. The Hawks spent the majority of their week in the Big Apple as they had 2 games in Brooklyn and 1 at the Garden. They lost to the Nets twice, but beat the Knicks. Make it make sense, but the Hawks are the most uninteresting team in basketball right now with Trae Young out, I will not lie. If Embiid comes back and plays how he did before he got hurt, and if Tobias Harris consistently does what he did against the Hornets this week, there is no reason the 76ers can't be the second best team in the East come postseason time. So do not sleep on Philly, not one bit. You will never hear this from me again, but I genuinely feel bad for New York Knicks fans because as I watched the Brunson injury, I felt sick to my stomach because the Knicks really can't catch a break with the injuries, and on paper, fully healthy, they would make it to the conference finals, but at this rate, they'll be a 4 or 5 seed and lose to the Celtics round 2. Also, the Knicks made an under-the-radar move by signing Shake Milton, who will be the backup point guard for them moving forward, I'm assuming. I really like it. I would say, in case you missed it, but you probably already know that LeBronJames became the first player to ever score 40,000 points in the NBA history. But the biggest topic I need to discuss is the fact that the Lakers will only beat the Wizards by 3 at home, but will beat the Celtics, beat the Thunder convincingly, and it's just like, why is this team such a roller coaster? It really makes no sense. I'm so confused on the Lakers. When I called Tyrese Haliburton overrated in the beginning of the year, it was controversial, but if I were to say it now, it wouldn't be. But I did tell y'all to calm down and relax way before this, and now look what is happening. All his stats are down, and yes, I know he was dealing with injuries, but I feel like the media only uses that injury excuse when it comes to players that they are overrating. And that is clearly what is happening now. Y'all have no idea how it feels to be a Suns fan, but if you are a Suns fan, can you just please comment, why is Devin Booker got to be so childish? He got into altercation with a rookie this week. A rookie. His head is so big at times. At a certain point, you got to understand your game should do the talking. You being a bona fide superstar should make it so you shouldn't have to say anything to a rookie. But why do you talk so much? Remember what happened 2-3 years ago against Dallas? We got bounced in 7 because you started talking, and then they turned up. Come on, gotta do better. But in other news, Devin Booker and Royce O'Neal both got hurt from colliding into each other. That doesn't give a accurate summary of this season for my Suns. I don't know what does. But we did have a good win in Denver this week, so I'm going to remember this week by that. After 2 weeks of glazing the Mavericks, I am converting back into a hater because despite Luka Doncic averaging a 38-point triple-double in 3 games this week, the Mavericks had no wins to show for it. That's very tragic, but I still trust them come postseason time. The Kings opened their week with an electric win in Minnesota behind 39 bench points from Malik Monk. The media will tell you the only reason they won was because Anthony Edwards left at halftime to witness the birth of his child. Congrats to him, but the media also needs to acknowledge the fact De'Aaron Fox didn't play the entire game. So it was basically an evenly matched game without those two, and it was electric. The reason I am talking about this as much as I am is because this could be a potential first-round matchup, and oh boy, it would be very entertaining. But then I saw their game against the Bulls, and that officially killed whatever hope I had for this team in the postseason. And then I saw their game in LA, and it gave me some hope, because my favorite player, De'Aaron Fox, had 44 points on my least favorite team in the NBA. Roller coaster of a team, though. If you have been wondering why Paolo Banchero does not get recognition from the media as much as he deserves it, then you have not been watching my videos on this channel enough, because I have been talking about it all season long. If you watched last week's video, you know I said that the Cavs are frauds until Garland and Mobley play well against good teams consistently. Well, they each went off Friday night to start the week, but guess who they did it against? The Pistons. Obviously, they did not do it against the Knicks, even though the Knicks didn't have 4 starters. And yeah, the Cavs are pretenders in the most serious way possible. Yes, they did have a great win against the Celtics without Mitchell, but I'm going to stand by the pretender statements, and they will not beat my allegations until they prove themselves in the postseason. Brandon Ingram had 34, 8, and 6, while Trey Murphy had 28 against the Pacers Friday, and it reminded me how these two are really the biggest X factors on this team, because if they show up like this, and Zion, McCollum, Valanciunas, and Herb Jones all do their thing, this team is dangerous. In case you missed it, Andrew Wiggins had another leave of absence due to personal reasons this week, but he did return this week. But I cannot ignore what happened in Boston, and that is why we have a partial shun this week on the Warriors, because what was that? I get Boston is good, but you let them beat you by 52. Enough said after that. The Heat almost got their get back on Denver from the finals last year, but MPJ was too much for them to handle. Yes, you heard me right. Playoff Jimmy is awakening though. So, we almost at that time of year, because when he is cooking, the playoffs are here or around the corner. Scary sight for the Eastern Conference. We mentioned it earlier, but Anthony Edwards welcomed his first child this week. Congrats again, but the Timberwolves have been off of late and have been folding against other good teams, not just on the road, but specifically at home. If you remember at the beginning of this season, Timberwolves were electric at home and continually shined in crunch time. They were almost unbeatable at home, and now they are losing games they realistically should be winning at home. Maybe this is just a case of the dog days of the NBA season, but the Timberwolves are struggling right now, and it's at the time when you want to see teams take a stride and build up momentum for the postseason. Timberwolves have been doing it backwards as they started hot and are cooling off at the worst time just about. Be cautious about the Timberwolves. Of course, as I'm recording the Timberwolves segment of this video, I get a notification that Karl Anthony Towns tore his meniscus and will be out indefinitely. So now I feel bad, Timberwolves fans, so I am sorry. Get well soon, Cat. In case you missed it, Russell Westbrook fractured his hand this week and will be out for an undisclosed amount of time. Very sad news for many NBA fans who want him to succeed. Get well soon, Russ. But for the Clippers, as a team, they had 2 good wins and 1 horrible loss this week, which makes me wonder if they are owed an apology for the narrative I created last week. I personally don't think so, especially after watching the Bucks game, but let me know what you think in the comments below. The Thunder will lose round 1. I am so confident in that statement, but I hope they win. Don't get me wrong. Also worth noting, against the Suns, they gave up 31 rebounds to Nurkic and could not handle him at all. What's going to happen when you play the Pelicans? Jonas Valanciunas, he's better than Nurkic out getting rebounds and dominating the paint. Rudy Gobert, Nikola Jokic, Domantas Sabonis, those are 4 centers and players that can do that to the Thunder with ease in the postseason, and their respective teams are better than my Suns that this happened against. I am sorry, but if the Thunder do not figure that out, then they will be upset early in the postseason. The Milwaukee Bucks are back and cemented in the top 3 of the NBA. Dame Giannis look elite. Dame looks a lot better. He looks comfortable. If you take away the Warriors game, they're undefeated after the All-Star break. I did say they were going to play a lot better after the All-Star break, and they're making me look smart. So keep doing what you're doing, Bucks. But yeah, top 3 team in the NBA right now. After this week, I've come to one conclusion about the Nuggets. The only thing stopping them is the health of Jamal Murray and the Boston Celtics. I wanted to spend this week talking about Jaylen Brown for the Celtics, but then they lost to the Cavs, which I very much enjoyed. The Celtics are notorious playoff chokers with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum at the leaders, the best players of the team. So hopefully they don't do that this year, but I know it's a lot different of a team, but Kristaps Porzingis notoriously gets hurt in the playoffs and does not play well. If he played well in the playoffs, he'd still be in the Mavericks uniform. Derek White, yeah, he's good. Drew Holiday, I mean, he was part of the Bucks team last year that collapsed, so yeah. And this team has no depth, really. So yeah, Boston Celtics, hopefully they lose first round. But yeah, they're still the best team in the NBA, obviously. If I didn't put them there, there'd be something wrong with me. I was thinking to myself in this video, how do I make these videos a little bit more controversial for y'all's entertainments? And we're going to be giving out awards now, every week. Now, these awards are going to be controversial, but I honestly do think this is how it is. I'm not going to try and give it to the same player every week, but let's get it. We got 6 awards. My player of the week is Paolo Banchero, as he averaged 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists in a 4-0 week for the Magic. And yes, the competition was not great. That's why the Magic won't get Team of the Week, but Paolo gets Player of the Week. The Team of the Week is very, very controversial, and it is the Golden State Warriors, because if you exclude the game against the Celtics, which in fairness, anybody who knows ball knew they weren't going to win in Boston. Anyways, if you look at everything we saw this week outside of that game, this team looks very, very good and really had a complete 180 on their narrative after this week. So that is why they are the Team of the Week. The clutch player of the week is without a doubt DeMar DeRozan, who literally outscored his opponents in multiple fourth quarters this week by himself. The underrated player of the week is 6th Man of the Year candidate Malik Monk, who went nuts in both wins for the Kings this week. The most disappointing player of the week is Tyrese Haliburton, as he averaged 10 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds a game in the week. Those are literally Killian Hayes stats. And last but certainly not least, we have the worst team of the week, or most disappointing team of the week, however you want to look at it. It's the Dallas Mavericks. You have a player that averaged a 38-point triple-double this week, and you didn't win one game. Come on, you got to do better. And with that, we conclude this weekly recap, in case you missed it. 98% of y'all are not subscribed to the channel, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video. You can also turn on post notifications to make sure you don't miss it in a more effective way. But yeah, y'all have a good one. That's all from me. Bye.